Hey guys, it's PurpleRoselyn. I'm sure that some of you have been at least wondering why I've been so inactive lately. And well, as the title mentions, you might want to take a seat for this one. I recommend watching this video from start to finish when you especially have the time. I could have easily just said that I've been too busy to make videos lately and that I couldn't find the motivation to get things done, and this could have been at least a minute long. Boom, done, more videos coming soon. But there's been a lot more to that, which I know might be relatable to a majority of some people who have especially been starting lives of their own. Yes, that means I'm preparing to live an independent life. For years now, I've been struggling to keep myself together and get my life on track. Just living constantly in a toxic environment, a doctor diagnosing me with depression, and just trying to get a job just to see if I can get my life in a better direction. Well, around 2016, depression got really bad to the point I didn't really have anything bad going on in my life during that time to cause it. It just was happening. I just felt really incredibly sad and lonely in general, to the point where I pretty much didn't care about life and where it took me. I went one day to get a checkup, just a routinely checkup at the doctor's, and they have you fill out these forms before the appointment, and it would say ratings like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel today? And I would just circle all the low numbers because I really did feel that way, and at the same time I wanted to get help from them and just to get rid of that yucky nasty feeling of constant sadness and anxiety and just feeling like someone was sitting on my chest the whole time and just bleh. After the appointment, doctor noticed my forms and how I filled them out, and she wanted to know what was up, how I've been feeling. She said that I showed all signs of depression and suggested to me that every week I'd come in and speak with a psychologist they had at the hospital. I kind of just felt humiliated and pathetic for letting things get to this point, because I always found it embarrassing when you would need to go see a therapist and talk about your problems. Thankfully though, after going to the appointments, they actually were really helpful, and I was also prescribed to take antidepressants, which helped. But honestly, what did more justice for me was just, when you just bottle it up for a long time, and I actually had the opportunity to let out what was in my chest, just be acknowledged for once about the problems. But lately I've gotten into all these random moods and sadness, and I realized that it kind of all correlates to when I'm feeling really stressed out. That's when I would especially feel really depressed. That whole story that I just had kind of relates a lot to the current feeling I have now, just because I was especially really stressed out about things so easily all the time, and especially now, because at the end of August, I'll be moving in with my girlfriend of 2 years, Carmen, or also known as Mary Medley on YouTube. Because of how depressed I was and how it didn't help that there were so many moments when I needed physical comfort from her but couldn't because of long distance and everything, we decided several months ago that we wanted to live together and to always be there for each other. And honestly, I was thankful, because whenever we'd meet, I was always so much happier than when it was back on Skype or something, and I'd forget about all the bad stuff going on. We've been planning and saving up money to make sure we'd be ready to move in together, so hopefully a new place and a new life away from all the negativity I've been surrounded with would be gone for good. But yeah, around that time when we were planning that we wanted to move in and everything, I was thankfully already working, and that's how I was able to pay for all of our visits that we were able to have before we reached this conclusion that we wanted to live together. I used to be a clerk cashier at CVS for over a year, and I was always treated like shit by almost everyone. Instead of training me properly, they got lazy with me and decided that they would just have me stay in the front, and that was it. Barely got to work on the floor, which led to me not being able to help customers properly and not help them find everything they need. Honestly, my boss sucked, because whenever I confront her about it, it was personally a concern for me, because I didn't want coworkers giving me shit for not knowing what I was doing. There's obviously a way to fix that by having me not always do the same thing every day in the front and not be so limited to what I can do. And every time I was facing, or if I was doing stuff for truck days, stocking things on the shelves, I had learned so much more about things. But coworkers coworkers would always talk crap about me, saying I had no idea what I was doing. They only taught me the basic stuff for when you're working at the register, and that was it. I became a joke to everyone I worked with, not only just being made fun of for not knowing anything, but also for, like, when you're in high school or elementary school, they'd make fun of me for how I even looked in general. And these people are adults, mind you, too. I would tell myself over and over, just quit at the end of July, quit at the end of July. But to generalize, I was bullied constantly by my coworkers for every single thing. Called things like weird, dumb, fat, and be given rude remarks if I'd ever need help from a manager or shift supervisor. Because it's just that little joke with them, like, ugh, of course you don't know what you're doing. I did reach the last straw, though. One day I had the flu, and it was still Ramadan, and there's no way that you can come into work an 8-hour shift, be fasting, not being able to drink or eat until sunset, and be sick. And I called out. It didn't go well with her, because whenever I would call out, she would make it seem like this huge deal and get incredibly pissed at me and say I do it all the time, which I rarely did. But this time of all times was really when she drew a line with me, where it was unnecessary to do what she did. She basically just sat there in silence. It's always on a Saturday, Sarah. And I literally have not called out for over 6 months. But she would still do this and act like I do it all the time. I didn't even know what to say. I was like, there's no way for me to actually come into work and fast and be sick. I can't do all of that stuff. And she was just completely disrespectful to me on the phone about it. I couldn't. I was too angry and too upset to just let them stomp all over me that I called back. And I called her out for everything. I was like, don't even bother, worrying about me working for, the next couple weeks or whatever. I'm giving you a 2 weeks notice. I'm absolutely done. There were so many appropriate reasons for why I couldn't come in. But she sat there silent the entire time on the phone and didn't say a thing. I just said I was done, hung up, and that was the end of it. But of course, doing what I did had many sacrifices that I needed to make, that not only did I leave even sooner than I was supposed to save up enough money, and at the same time I wasn't able to stay for as long as I needed to properly be able to move out. Basically, I've just had a lot of inconveniences happen to me from the end of June throughout July and now starting in August. What didn't help was that Carmen didn't have a job. While we were saving up for the money, Carmen was only doing some part-time tutoring, and it was obviously not going to be enough to get us to move in together in August. So when I had my job, which was at least me constantly being paid and getting a decent amount of hours, even though it was just an average minimum wage job, it of course was a struggle, and still is right now, to try to get things out of the way. But thankfully, around the time that I had quit, she got this internship that she's doing right now. It's a very temporary job. It ends in December, and it doesn't help that it was already me making most of the income before I had quit. And then I quit earlier than expected, and now I'm unemployed while she's working this temporary job. It's very frustrating and stressful right now for me. I've been trying to get myself to think about making more videos and to be able to manage to do some stuff on YouTube while at the same time trying to make enough money for when I move at the end of August. It's definitely happening for sure, because thankfully her dad was able to help us get a place, and he was able to help us pay for some things, which was great. More than enough that he should have done. It meant the world that he wanted to help us like that. I want to make content and keep you guys constantly happy, whether it just be for my covers, and I do want to try to take things a more comedic approach too, and try to make some funny videos for you guys as well. But currently right now, that's very difficult and almost impossible to do, since there's so much that we still have left to prepare. My biggest fear is getting a job when her internship ends, and obviously then it's just even worse with trying to get money to be able to be financially stable. So to get to the conclusion of this update video, we're kind of dealing with financial issues due to me quitting my job earlier than expected, since I couldn't stand the way I was treated any longer. Carmen is currently the only one working right now, but only for a short amount of time because it's an internship until December. Things just aren't looking good right now in terms of remaining active on my YouTube channel, and it's honestly a scary thought not knowing when exactly that'll change, and hopefully before her internship ends. For now, I was hoping that to make up for the lack of money that could have been made before I quit unexpectedly, I'm setting up a donation live stream on August 19th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time to try to have a little bit more saved up for us while we try to sort out a full-time job, and at the same time have some money to help provide for us while we're looking. I would keep the live stream as entertaining as possible by playing a game I came up with that you'll definitely enjoy, and have a live reading of a Guy Fieri fanfic that I wrote for the sake of cringe. It would be about 1 to 3 hours long, and you can donate by using the new super chat that YouTube added for live streaming. I would also be answering some questions that any of you might have during the stream, but any little bit that you can give would mean the world to us during this tough situation. It would be great to have you all spread the word for the donation stream and to keep note of it if you'd like to attend. Again, it's going to be August 19th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can't be able to make it but you'd still like to donate, I'll leave a paypal.me link in the description that you can still use to donate. I'd also like to give a big shout out to Joel Keski-Kuha, hopefully I said that right, and Remote Programmer for the recent donations. It means so much, and we are beyond grateful for that. Thank you everyone for taking the time to listen to this video, and I sincerely hope that you all understand what's been going on my end. I'm hoping to try to upload a video very soon, but in the meantime, it just means a lot knowing you took the time to hear me out. Thanks again, guys.